Bhavan, this question is coming your way. Bhavan, what is the deal with Mahindra and Mahindra Finance? On a daily basis, it is fluctuating, but it is fluctuating on very strong volumes. It was one of the top open interest loser on Monday. Yesterday, it was one of the top open interest gainer.
Yeah, a lot of speculative interest there. We'd seen a large amount of short positions getting carried forward, and the follow-through price action did not see itself coming in. So these frustrated longs carried forward on the day of mega drop, got somehow got out of this particular stock, and the uptick seemed to be taking some longs along with it. Now, if this particular thing has any legs, it'll have additional longs coming into the stock, and finally you'll see the initial shorts getting covered, and a decent long buys coming into the particular stock. That is one. If this does not happen, in that case you will see gyration, because this is one stock which has entered into the segment of futures and options just recently. So you do not have a large amount of open interest, so it can be maneuvered easily. That is one. So chances are that if you do not see entire short covering and fresh long build up continuing, in that case you might see gyrations, but the stock might consolidate around 5 to 7% kind of a range.
Bhavin, this series, I think it's Ranbaxy which is going to go down as the top loser, at least in the index components. What's the sense that you're getting about Ranbaxy? Can we see some short covering?
Could be just a dead cat bounce, or probably people who are fairly short on the particular stock might have already seen the price action and not looking to carry themselves forward. However, we've discussed, Aisha, before also that in the pharma space, this is one particular stock which has been very unreliable. So we have for once burnt our hands and are of this particular stock because of the excessive volatility. So be that as it may, whatever 2, 3, 5% kind of an uptick could come, but we would rather be participating in better stocks like Dr. Reddy's and Lupins of the world, rather than trying to take a bet on Ranbaxy.
All right, Bhavan, appreciate your time and thank you for joining us. Nitin Raja, comment on Ranbaxy. The market capitalization of Ranbaxy is now reduced to only 15,000-16,000 crore, and at 15,000-16,000 crore, you are getting a company which currently has about 17-18% market share of the entire domestic pharma business.
Sure, Nikunj, but I think as long as the clouds kind of, it's really very surprising that the new revelations that keep coming from time to time at Ranbaxy, and it's very discomforting. I would believe that when it happened the first time, you would have strong measures in place, considering the parent is someone who's been in the market for so many years and understands the US FDA operations. But the fact that this continues to happen, I mean, it's very difficult to say, and I think that would act as a cloud. And we would rather go rather than play it just because it presents some value. We would rather go for someone who is where there is more clarity and where you can see the growth happening.
Right, Nitin Raja, really appreciate your time. Let's look at Maruti, because when I looked at the pre-open rates, Maruti in fact is trading with a positive bias. Why? 1,615 rupees for Maruti. I want to quickly also go through what brokerages are indicating about Maruti, and here's the surprise bit here. With the exception of Barclays, none of the okay, hang on, let's change gears. Bharti PAT for the quarter gone by is at 610 rupees. I don't think you can compare these numbers. I'm absolutely certain you can't compare these numbers. I don't think for the quarter gone by, Bharti was expected to do a big write-off. So maybe we are trying to compare the standalone numbers with the consolidated numbers. I'll wait for clarity on that. I will not jump to any kind of a conclusion. But prima facie, the first flash is that for the quarter gone by, Bharti has reported a PAT number of 610 crore. Now, if the number is so much below expectations, either there has to be a huge charge or a huge forex hit, and we don't have any details for that. There you go. If I just do this basic comparison, numbers are way below estimates, but I'll wait for some more fine print. Like they always say, the devil is always there in the detail. Do you have more details?
No, 610 crores. That's the only detail on the net profit figure. It seems like there is a case of a one-time hit. Let's just wait by and see what the other details are like. Because yes, we're expecting a sharp decline in the treasury loss. Perhaps that's heightened this time around. We're also expecting a sharp swing in the net income driven by other income as well. And that seems to be clearly a miss this time around. But yes, that's a huge dent that Bharti has taken, if that's the PAT figure to go by. On a sequential basis, of course, the numbers are comparable, and that you can see. But versus the ET Now poll, it's quite a bit of a dampener. Revenues, we're expecting an uptick of a meager 3.5 crore rupees. I'm just waiting to see what the top line figure is like. 21,939. So that's largely in line, because 22,000 thereabouts is what the ET Now poll was pricing in. It seems like a case of a one-time hit that perhaps Bharti has taken this time. The EBITDA margin 32.5%, and that's an uptick of just about half a percent rather, from the previous quarter. We're expecting the Africa revenues to grow about almost 3% on a sequential basis in USD terms, 4% sequential growth in domestic mobile business on the back of 2.5% traffic growth. Let's just wait by and see what the other
it could be Africa.
Yeah, I think maybe it could be Africa.
They had a loss of 340 crore in Q2 on account in the forex line. Now, so if I do a sequential comparison, obviously I don't think very big change will happen in the forex line. So if the management has decided to write off some part of the Africa business, have they taken a one-time charge? Let's wait for that. Prima facie, if I look at the operations, because you always look at the EBITDA, and then you get a sense of what has happened to the core business of Bharti. I think operationally, ARPUs have gone up. Margins have expanded. The minute Idea numbers came out, we knew that operationally speaking, Q3 was okay quarter, at least for the Indian telecom sector. My sense is the value-added services for Bharti would have also gone up, since they have size and reach. A little bit of uptick straight away adds to the bottom line. So we are still trying to understand where is that write-off coming from. I don't think brokerages were factoring in any huge write-off. ARPU is what you always look at. That just tells you that which way the consumer is moving, and the consumer is moving up. Consolidated EBITDA margin. Okay, so this is the tricky part. Consolidated EBITDA margin has gone up by about 2.5%. So they've taken a charge, I think, below the line, which really would be after EBITDA. So this has to be something one time, got to do with Forex or got to do with Africa. We're waiting for the fine print, but prima facie, if I have to just dissect the basic core numbers, I don't think there is a big problem.
The EBITDA is largely okay, because 7163 is the ET Now poll, 7093 is what they've delivered, which is largely okay. It's the EBITDA margin calculation which seems like a bit of an aberration. Just getting back to the Africa revenues as well, they too have come in higher by 4%. So by the way, that's a little better than what we were expecting. The ARPUs have come in at 194 crore rupees. It is the EBITDA margin, 22.8% seems a little off.
This is consolidated. So, there's a difference in consolidated and what they do in India. So, India is about 30% plus consolidated, because of Africa comes lower. Mahesh, I know you cannot talk about stocks, but Mahesh? Mahesh Patil, good morning. This is Nikunj from the studio.
Yeah,
Can
hello.
you hear me?
Yeah. Good morning, Nikunj.
Hi. I saw you talking on the phone. Looks like you were getting some lowdown on the Bharti numbers.
No, not really.
What do you make of the telecom sector per se? You cannot give me a stock specific recommendation, but you can give me a sectoral outlook. Idea and Bharti, which represent for more than 50% of the sector, they both have come out with numbers.
Yeah, so I think telecom, on the fundamental side, this quarter we were expecting some kind of a sequential growth in minutes, and even some increase in the revenue per minute, I think, which is what Idea also reported. I think Bharti numbers, I haven't seen that, but I think that should also be in line over there. I think more importantly, I think the telecom sector, besides the fundamentals, is also impacted because of the spectrum auctions. and how competitive it will be, because the entry of Reliance Jio has created some kind of a flutter over there. Speculation that you could see further hike in the auction prices. So I think that will be a key driver for the stocks, or overhang of the stock, until we see the auction results coming in. But apart from that, I think on the bottom line fundamental domestically, I think things are looking better. I think sequentially things are looking better even on a YoY basis this year. Next year we expect telecom companies to report a good earnings growth comparing the base of last year.
Fair point. Mahesh, I've got an initial sense on the telecom sector and Bharti from you. I'm just going to take a detour. Mark Maruti, which is bouncing back. Sensex up 135 points, Nifty trading clearly above 6150. 85 rupees up for Maruti. Now this is a big surprise, because honestly there is a bit of a disappointment after yesterday's news development. So 86 rupees off for Maruti. The other one you want to mark is State Bank of India. Now bear in mind folks, tomorrow's FNO expiry. So Maruti could be bouncing back because of short covering as well. State Bank of India deserves to go up. We all know the news flow there. The QIP is fully subscribed. Now let's look at ICICI Bank and Bharti once again. Bharti numbers are out and ICICI Bank numbers expected later in the day. 1033 for ICICI Bank and Bharti is at 307, and I'm still waiting to understand that what is that charge which is making numbers look so different. We don't have details of that.
Bharti, well, holding just about 0.5% or so higher, actually lower than that. I just want to see what the bank Nifty is up to. We've talked about SBI, or rather Nikunj has talked about SBI, but the other big boy to declare its numbers today is going to be ICICI Bank. That's going to be the key one to watch out for. The bank Nifty futures holding up by about 1%, and ICICI Bank is going smartly into its earnings, up 1.5%. Bharti we've just told you about. Titan, VIP, Havers, Nalco, Gale, Tata Global Beverages, couple of important mid caps there which are going to come out with their earnings as well. SBI, we've just told you, they've launched the QIP, which by the way has gotten fully subscribed as well as what we pick up. So watch out for that one. The surprise mover in the pack today is Maruti, and that stock is holding up right now. Bharti Enterprises, which has announced some organizational changes as well, which are going to be effective April 1st. And Bharti is getting a bit of a thumbs up from the street. Not quite actually. I think we spoke a little too early. 306 of the stock after that initial bit of green has completely fizzled out.
Star is Maruti. Look at the recovery Maruti as a stock seems to be exhibiting, and not me, but everyone on the street is surprised. That is Maruti moving up because of valuation reasons, or is Maruti only moving up because of pure short covering? Mahesh, let's talk about the macro setup. One big event is out of the way, which is RBI credit policy. One more left for the week, which is the FOMC meeting. What do you expect to hear from US Fed later today?
Well, as you rightly said, we have seen the RBI policy, which was expectations. I mean, they surprised the market because of the rate hike. I think to a large extent, we don't expect any increases in the near term. So I think that one overhang is out of the way from the market standpoint, and bond deals have already reacted to that. I think FOMC is another big event which is here today. I think one has to wait and see in terms of the data which has come in from the US, whether they will go in for the further tapering. I think that should also not really matter too much, because I think to a large extent, I think market has already factored that in. I think clearly from our market standpoint, I think clearly what will be the driver in the near term would be elections. I think though that will be a big event, and that's where I think after this global thing settles down, I think that's where the focus will come back, because I think that will determine in terms of what kind of a recovery we are looking at in the domestic economy. And up till now, some of the domestic cyclicals have still been under pressure. It's been the global cyclicals sectors which have actually done well. So I think that's a big event, I think, which market, and until then I think market would remain.
Right, fair point. I've got a sense from you, Mahesh Patil. I want to revisit Maruti. 90 rupees up for Maruti. Ashwini, 20 seconds. Maruti 90 rupees up. What should a day trader do?
See, unless what the management meant was that nothing changes for Maruti, this should be looked at as a pullback, and maybe the market is accepting that nothing changes and at cost price they will get the cars, etc. If that is being accepted, then I think day traders post the first half an hour, if the stock breaks out further, then probably it's a buy, and yesterday's reaction may be an overreaction. But as long as we are not crossing yesterday's high, I think the stock still is vulnerable.
Well, the mystery in Bharti has been solved. The aberration that you saw in the PAT performance, there has been an exceptional loss on account of a tax provision that they made this quarter to the tune of about 221 crore rupees, and that is what explains the little bit of dent that you saw in Bharti. The stock, of course, has completely negated all of that and is holding up by about almost 2% because the rest of the numbers are pretty much in line. In fact, Africa, which has been a big concern for Bharti, has only done better than street estimates. The Africa revenues have come in higher by about 4%. It's only the PAT on a sequential basis which has come in lower than expectations. That is on account of the 221 crore rupee hit that they've taken this time. Ashwini, before we go forward, a quick sense on Bharti as well and how the stock is looking on the charts.
The telecom as a space is in a clear bear market. Now Bharti, 300 is extremely crucial here. As long as 300 holds on, we are in this 300-340 zone. But once 300 is given up, we could go fairly quickly towards 260-265.
Let's stay with Bharti. Karan Mittal of ICICI Direct joins us. Karan, what do you make of that extraordinary write-off of 221 crores?
Yeah, well, good morning. Thanks for it, but otherwise, had that not been there, we would have kind of a little worried why the PAT has gone so down, because we expecting a good jump this quarter in the overall PAT. So yes, there have been several tax demands for the company, especially in the African operation. So last quarter as well, they had some kind of a provisioning for similar tax demand in one of the African countries. So I believe it should be pertaining to that.
Karan, tax write-off will have an impact on EPS and profitability. So can we afford to ignore that? A write-off is a write-off which will have an impact on earnings.
Well, see, definitely it will have an impact on EPS, but the kind of operations that Airtel is in, we do not value the company on EPS basis or PE basis. The reason for that is because there is a huge amount of investment going on for the company and overall telecom sector as such. So you rather value the company on DCF or EV by EBITDA model. So I don't think that should impact our valuations as such.
Mahesh, what's the sense that you're getting about the banking space now? Because we've seen how the earnings performance has been. We've seen the reaction coming in from the policy as well, where banks took a huge knock in yesterday's session too. What's the right approach for an investor now? Should one start nibbling into banks? Would it be private banks or PSUs?
Yeah, I think the banking sector in the last 1 month after the recent rally has seen some kind of correction. I think we have seen most of the results coming in from the private sector banks, which have been more or less in line, I would say. I think the key results from some of the large PSU banks are still awaited, where I think there could be some stress on asset quality. I think we have seen that the stress on asset quality is still not behind us. But I think by and large, as we move forward from here, if we are seeing a cyclical upturn in the economy, which might be slow and gradual, I think then the stress levels on the asset quality should kind of, in the next couple of quarters, should kind of ease off. So that should be good for the banking sector from a medium to long term perspective. In the near term, even the interest rate hike, what we have seen, I think that to some extent, I think must have got factored in terms of valuations. And if you look at the longer term valuations, the stock's risk reward looks attractive if you take a 1 to 2 year view on the sector, considering that we are at the bottom of the cycle. Rates are also at kind of elevated at peak levels. So I think structurally from here with a 1 to 2 year view, the outlook looks good. Near term, you could see stock specific issues, okay, where there are some asset quality concerns. Our bias or focus would still be on the private sector banks. PSU banks, we believe that asset quality issues will still continue. And second, more importantly, I think a lot of these banks are undercapitalized, and they would like to raise capital. We saw SBI today raising money, but a lot of the other banks would have to raise capital at below book value, which would not be really good for minority shareholders. So I think, and by and large, we're also seeing some kind of a slowdown in terms of credit growth going forward. which would also mean that some of the banks, okay, where the OPEX cost is still pretty high, I think they would face pressure on margins going forward. So clearly I think bias would still remain at private sector banks, but I think the valuations look decent enough for us to have a positive view on the sector with a 1-year view at this point in time.
Well, clearly the star attraction today is Maruti, and quite surprising to see the way the stock is actually seeing a notch up. Remember, it lost up to 9.3% yesterday, and it's almost on its way to recoup all of that. A 7% bump up nearly coming in, 106 points higher, 109 points higher, and now still counting high. Mahesh, you guys do have Maruti as your top 10 holding in your declared portfolio. How have you read into the developments yesterday from the management, and would the stock be a sell for you right now?
Well, I think yesterday's move, I think post the con call, I think they have addressed some of the concerns, okay, which investors had in terms of how the 100% subsidiary, what could be the relationship with that in terms of the transfer pricing. So I think a lot of these concerns have been alleviated. I think the key issue remains in terms of longer term, in terms of whether a lot of value creation will happen in the current listed entity or in the 100% subsidiary. At the moment, I think that the way the deal is structured, it looks to be pretty okay, but I think there might be still some overhang in terms of longer term, whether all the upside which people are expecting would come in through the 100% subsidiary. So I think that I think the knee-jerk reaction yesterday which was there, I think to that extent, I think the management clarification has taken care of. I think longer term, I think one has to really look at in terms of how the recovery happens in the auto sector. I think that will be the key driver for the stock from a medium to long term perspective.
Minority shareholder of Maruti, are you happy with the corporate governance standard? Let me ask you a direct and a simple question. Mahesh?
Yeah, so I think from a corporate governance issue, I think there are, there are certain distinct concerns, I think, which still would remain in the mind, because one would like to have a very simple structure where everything is there in the 100% subsidiary, so the minority shareholders are assured that whatever growth comes in, it happens over here. Now with two different entities over there, there will always be an element of doubt in terms of how the transfer pricing will happen, how the future investments, okay, where it will happen. I think those issues, okay, would still be there. I think that would have some impact or derating on the PE multiples of the company, I think, which one has to really factor in going forward.
So Mahesh, are you a seller in Maruti right now, or is it still a hold for you guys?
No, I think we will like to again have clarification with the management, I think, on a one-on-one and seek more clarification before we take any decision on the stock.
Mahesh, so at the current juncture, what are your tactical ideas and what are your structural ideas, and how exactly are you really shaping up your portfolio so that it is geared up to that election event?
Yeah, so I think clearly, I think from a near to medium term perspective, we still remain positive on a lot of companies, okay, export oriented companies, because we believe that there has been a revival in demand in the developed markets, which should be good for some of the export related sectors. And rupee at these levels also offers some kind of a competitive advantage for these sectors, and there is greater amount of visibility and growth earnings, at least for this year. So that's an area where we still remain overweight stocks like in sectors like IT and pharma. Clearly underweight on the classic defensives like FMCG, where we see some slowdown in growth and valuations also at pretty elevated levels. So we don't see any big absolute upside in this sector. And I think slowly as we move forward, as I said earlier, we are looking at a recovery in the broader economy. And as with elections around the corner, I think that could be a revival in some of the, in some sense, for the investment climate, which has taken a big knock in the last 2 years. So I think we have slightly built a portfolio slowly and gradually towards the cyclical sectors, which includes banking and financials, to some extent the capital goods sector. But again, not really going overboard over there. I think selectively stock specific, because especially in the cap goods sector, only at companies where the balance sheet is pretty strong and because still I think there is a lot of stress in terms of companies where.
I really appreciate you taking the time out and speaking with us. Karan Mittal, let you go as well. Thanks for analysing Bharti. Let's now move on to more earnings. Seshagiri Rao